They always say you don't realize how much something matters until it's gone. And let me tell you, when the power grid in my town collapsed right in the middle of the school science fair, I felt that saying hit like a sledgehammer to the chest. Kids were showing off their vinegar volcanoes and potato batteries. Parents were clapping along. Teachers trying to keep the chaos wrangled, and then boom. Silence. Darkness. Panic. The fire alarms screeched. Traffic lights froze mid-change. Monitors in the ICU down at our only hospital blinked out for 4 full seconds. Just 4 seconds, but long enough to make people scream. Long enough to make me run for my truck. Because I already knew what had happened. 2 days earlier, I'd noticed something strange. My wind turbine, the one up on Ashridge Hill that I'd built myself a decade ago with FEMA grant support, had stopped feeding data into my home system. At first, I thought maybe it was a mechanical fault. Bearings, maybe. Or a bird strike. But then I hiked up there and found it. Or what was left of it. The blades were gone. Severed like a tree felled by a lumberjack on a mission. Jagged saw marks, fresh and brutal. It didn't take long for me to find the note laminated, zip tied to the base like it was something official. It read, "Your windmill violates HOA Sightline Code Section 8.3. Please remove remaining structure within 48 hours or face daily fines." And then a signature, Eleanor Beck, HOA President. Now let me be clear, my property sits right on the edge of Pine Valley Estates, and that windmill was there years before the HOA even existed. It had town approval, federal documentation, engineering blueprints. That turbine wasn't some backyard pinwheel, it was a certified, grid-linked backup energy source. 40% of our town's emergency systems ran through it. But Eleanor Beck didn't care. Eleanor, with her matching hat and clipboard, who once tried to fine me for growing tomatoes in red pots because she thought they clashed with the neighborhood's rustic aesthetic. Eleanor, who once reported my duck pond as a mosquito hazard in the middle of a drought. Now she'd moved on to slicing vital infrastructure for what? A better view from her upstairs bathroom window? The timing couldn't have been worse. That week, I had just finalized a town-wide emergency audit plan. The turbine was supposed to power the firehouse, the school's communication tower, and the ICU at the clinic if the main grid went down. And guess what happened the very next day? A summer lightning storm. The kind that hits without warning and doesn't ask permission. Transformers blew, lines fried, and the grid went dark. The hospital lost backup power. Kids had to be evacuated from school in pitch black. At the gas station, pumps froze mid-fill and drivers got stranded. I raced into town to check the substation and found the fire chief and the mayor themselves standing there, drenched in rain, staring at a soaked fuse panel like it had just given them both bad news. I told them what happened. How Eleanor had chainsawed the blades off the town's only emergency wind turbine. They thought I was kidding, until I showed them the note. By the next morning, the news had spread like wildfire. Channel 7 showed up with cameras. People gathered at the hill holding handmade signs, "Wind power saves lives, cutting blades, cutting lives." Eleanor? Oh, she doubled down. Posted on the HOA website claiming the turbine was a hazard, that it had rust, and was flinging dangerous electromagnetic pulses into the atmosphere. It was spotless. Quieter than a ceiling fan. Maintained weekly. But logic wasn't something Eleanor subscribed to. So I went digging. Pulled every permit, every inspection, every email chain between me, the town, and FEMA. And when I found the original contract with the town, I realized just how badly she'd messed up. That turbine was a registered emergency energy asset. Tampering with it? Not just vandalism, it was a violation of federal disaster infrastructure laws. That's when I got the call. From a guy named Agent Decker, Homeland Security's Critical Infrastructure Division. You ever have one of those moments where a situation stops being ridiculous and starts being terrifying? They sent a FEMA inspector that very night. Guy looked like he hadn't slept in a week. I showed him everything of footage, the damage, the logs. And then we watched the security cam together. It was grainy, but clear. Eleanor in a wide-brimmed sun hat, standing next to a man holding a chainsaw. She pointed. He revved. 3 minutes later, the blades came crashing down. The next morning, she got hit from every side: FEMA inquiries, town attorneys, grid consultants. And the people of Pine Valley? They weren't just angry. They were organizing. Parents launched petitions to have her removed. The high school robotics team offered to fabricate new blade parts in their lab. Volunteers donated tools, funds, time. And me? I got busy rebuilding. Not for pride. Not even for justice. but for the grandmother 2 blocks away who couldn't breathe without her oxygen machine, for the firefighter who needed that backup relay to connect his radio when the towers failed. That windmill wasn't just spinning air, it was peace of mind. And someone had cut it down. When the town hall finally held a public hearing, Eleanor tried to save face. She brought a PowerPoint presentation called Restoring Community Beauty. I kid you not, stock photos of windmill explosions from third-world countries, graphs with no labels, and a diagram of what she wanted to replace it with, a sculpture garden called Sky of Stillness. I waited until she was done. Then I walked up, plugged in my flash drive, and played the footage. Her pointing, the chainsaw, the blades falling. Dead silence. The mayor suspended HOA oversight on public infrastructure right there on the spot. The fire chief stood and said, "You didn't just cut metal, ma'am. You cut lifelines." And Eleanor? She had no comeback. Just stared at the floor like it might save her. But the fight wasn't over. She tried to rally her loyalists, the same folks who complained about unapproved lawn gnomes and hanging bird feeders. They accused me of running a power monopoly. Said I'd used the windmill for personal clout. It would have been funny if it weren't so dangerous. Then came the cease and desist letter. She accused me of defamation and emotional endangerment. The town's legal team laughed her out of the inbox. But the best part? FEMA officially escalated the case. Turns out, cutting a federally documented energy asset during storm season might just qualify as a felony. While the legal wheels turned, we rebuilt. Marcus, the local machinist, came by with new connectors. Tom, a retired Navy electrician, rolled up with his welding rig. The mayor dropped off a check from the emergency fund. Even strangers from nearby towns sent support. We got it standing again within a week, stronger, smarter, better. This time, it had encrypted feedback, a solar backup array, and a perimeter alarm. Someone even made stickers that read, "Powered by common sense." As for Eleanor, she vanished. No statements. No meetings. Her house went dark. Rumor had it she was hiding with her sister in Oregon, waiting for the federal heat to pass. The HOA restructured. New members. New bylaws. The first motion passed. A clause that said no HOA action could override any infrastructure with town or federal approval. Unanimous vote. Months passed. I was offered a new role, infrastructure liaison. I said yes. Not for status, but to make sure this never happened again. We installed a second turbine near the community center designed by local students. Reinforced, encrypted, and with my favorite detail, a little plaque that reads, "If you touch this turbine without permission, may the wind be against you." And I bought the lot next to Eleanor's old house. Put up a decorative micro-turbine. Not connected to the grid. Didn't need to be. Just spin slowly, creaking gently, perfectly within earshot of her old upstairs bedroom window. Not revenge, just a reminder. And one afternoon, she came back. She stepped out of a black sedan in heels and a trench coat, middle of summer, 90 degrees, and just stood there staring at the rebuilt turbine. She looked small, tired. The confidence, the righteousness, all gone. She walked up to me slowly, clasped her hands, and said softly, "I didn't know. I didn't really understand what it did. I thought I was protecting the neighborhood." I didn't say a word. She kept talking anyway. "They told me I might lose my house. I lost my position. My friends won't talk to me. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just needed to say it." And then she left. Just drove away. No fanfare. No photo op. That night, I stood on the hill and listened to the blades turning again in the evening breeze. Quiet, steady, certain. That sound used to blend into the background. Now it sounds like a heartbeat. A reminder that when we stand up for what matters, not with anger, but with resolve, you can protect more than just equipment. We can protect each other. And maybe, just maybe, when the next storm comes, we won't be left in the dark again. Because sometimes all it takes to fix a broken system is wind. If you made it to the end of this story, I'd love to hear what you think. Was Eleanor a villain, or just misunderstood? Have you ever dealt with a power-hungry HOA? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and don't forget, some blades don't just cut air, they cut through ignorance. Thanks for watching.